You ever wake up and feel like you're stuck in the same cycle? Like no matter what you do, you're just dragging yourself through the day with no real purpose. It's like you're on autopilot, going through the motions, but inside you feel lost, like you're drifting with no direction. And the worst part, you don't even know why. Maybe you had big dreams once, but now they just seem distant, like a blurry memory of someone else's life. You start questioning everything, why you feel this way, why you can't just snap out of it, why it feels like everyone else has it figured out except you. I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not broken. You are not a failure, and you are definitely not alone. Everyone at some point in their life feels exactly like this. Even the most successful people, the ones you admire, the ones who seem to have it all together, they've been there. The difference? They didn't stay there. See, most people think motivation is something magical, something you either have or you don't. But that's not how it works. Motivation isn't some lightning bolt that strikes you out of nowhere. It's something you create. And the first step to creating it, you've got to acknowledge where you are right now. You've got to stop running from it, stop numbing yourself with distractions, stop pretending it's not happening. The reason so many people stay stuck is because they refuse to face the truth. They don't want to admit that they feel lost. But if you don't acknowledge it, how the hell are you going to fix it? I know it's uncomfortable. I know it feels like you're admitting defeat, but listen to me. This is not failure. This is awareness. And awareness is power. Because the second you recognize where you are, you put yourself back in the driver's seat. You stop being a passenger in your own life. You stop letting life happen to you and start taking control. So let's get brutally honest for a second. What are you feeling right now? Is it frustration, numbness, confusion? Maybe it's fear. Fear that you're falling behind. Fear that you're wasting time. Fear that you'll never figure it out. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to not have all the answers. But what's not okay is letting those feelings define you. What's not okay is doing nothing about it. Most people, when they feel lost, they look for quick fixes. They scroll through their phones hoping to get inspired. They watch a few motivational videos, get pumped for a few minutes, and then go right back to the same patterns. Why? Because they're not actually addressing the problem. They're putting a Band-Aid on a wound that needs stitches. You can't just slap motivation on top of confusion and expect it to last. You have to go deeper. You have to ask yourself the real questions. What's missing? What do I actually want? And if you don't know the answer, that's fine. You don't need to have a perfect vision of the future. You just need to be honest about where you are right now. And let me tell you something. Being lost isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes feeling lost is life's way of telling you it's time for a change. Maybe the path you were on wasn't the right one. Maybe you've outgrown the old version of yourself and now it's time to create a new one. The problem is, most people resist that change. They cling to old identities, old routines, old habits. Because even if they're unhappy, at least they're familiar. But if you want to find motivation, if you want to feel alive again, you have to be willing to let go of what's no longer serving you. So here's the challenge. Stop avoiding this feeling. Sit with it, journal about it, talk to someone, do whatever you need to do to get real with yourself. Because once you do, once you finally face it, you'll realize something powerful. You are not lost. You are simply in transition. And transitions, they lead to transformation. Do you ever wonder why some days you wake up ready to take on the world and other days you can't even bring yourself to get out of bed? Why some people seem to have an endless fire inside them while you're struggling just to light the match? It's frustrating, isn't it? You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, that you'll find your motivation, that you'll finally get your life together, but tomorrow comes and nothing changes. And deep down, you start wondering, what the hell's wrong with me? Let me tell you something right now. Nothing is wrong with you. You're not lazy, you're not weak, and you're definitely not incapable. The problem isn't that you lack motivation. The problem is you haven't figured out why you feel unmotivated in the first place. See, most people think their lack of drive is the issue, but that's just the symptom. The real problem, it's hiding underneath. And until you uncover it, you're going to keep spinning in circles, wondering why you can't get moving. So let's get real for a second. What's actually stopping you? Because I guarantee you there's a reason. Maybe you've been running on empty for so long that your body and mind are screaming for a break, but you keep pushing, thinking you just need to Try harder. Maybe you're afraid of failing, afraid of looking stupid, afraid that no matter what you do, it won't be good enough. Or maybe you feel like nothing excites you anymore, like you're just coasting through life without a sense of direction. Whatever it is, you need to name it. You need to get brutally honest with yourself and call it out. Because when you do, you take away its power. You go from feeling like a victim of your own mind to taking control of it. And let me tell you, when you get clear on the root cause, suddenly everything starts making sense. Think about it. If you're exhausted all the time, maybe you're not lazy, maybe you're burned out. And if you're burned out, then no amount of motivation hacks are going to help until you address that exhaustion. If you're terrified of failing, then maybe it's not motivation you need, it's a shift in mindset so that failure becomes a lesson instead of a death sentence. And if you feel like you don't care about anything, maybe you've been living by other people's expectations for so long that you've lost touch with what actually matters to you. But here's the catch. Most people don't want to do this work. They'd rather slap a motivational quote on their wall and hope that somehow magically it'll fix everything. But motivation doesn't come from reading words on a poster. It comes from understanding what's blocking you, tearing it down, and rebuilding yourself stronger. And here's the real kicker. Sometimes the reason you feel unmotivated is because deep down, you don't actually believe you're capable of more. You've convinced yourself that success, happiness, purpose, those are things for other people, not you. So you don't even try. You stay stuck, waiting for motivation to show up like some kind of superhero that's going to save you. But guess what? It's not coming. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to wake you up one morning and hand you motivation on a silver platter. You have to create it yourself. And you do that by figuring out what's holding you back. You do that by challenging the stories you've been telling yourself. You do that by realizing that whatever has been stopping you, it's not bigger than you. It's not stronger than you. It's just been sitting in the driver's seat for too damn long. So here's what I want you to do. Stop looking for quick fixes. Stop waiting for some magical burst of energy that's going to change everything. Instead, sit down with yourself and ask the hard questions. What's really going on here? What am I afraid of? What am I avoiding? And then once you've got your answer, don't just acknowledge it, do something about it. Because once you start removing those barriers, once you take back control of your own mind, you won't have to find motivation anymore. It will already be there waiting for you to unleash it. You ever look at someone who's crushing it, absolutely killing it in life, and wonder, how do they do it? How do they stay so driven, so focused, while you can barely get yourself to take the first step? You think, if only I had their motivation, if only I had their energy, their discipline, their clarity, then I'd be unstoppable. But let me tell you something. Those people, they're not special. They weren't born with some magic ability to stay motivated every single day. The difference between them and you isn't that they have more motivation. It's that they built something you haven't. Momentum. See, most people think they need to feel motivated first before they take action. But that's backwards. That's the lie that keeps you stuck, waiting, hesitating, telling yourself you'll start when you feel ready. But let's be real. How many times have you said that? How many times have you told yourself you'll start tomorrow, next week, next month, and nothing happens? Because the truth is, you're never going to feel ready. And if you sit around waiting for some magical surge of motivation, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. You don't find motivation, you create it. And you do that by setting small, meaningful goals that get you moving. Because once you start moving, even in the smallest way, you build momentum. And momentum, that's the real game changer. Think about it like this. You ever try pushing a car that's completely stopped? It takes a massive amount of effort to get it rolling, even an inch. But once it starts moving, once you've built up that momentum, suddenly it gets easier. It starts rolling on its own. That's how motivation works. The hardest part is just getting started, but once you do, even in the smallest way, everything starts to shift. The problem is most people overwhelm themselves right from the start. They set these massive, unrealistic goals that feel impossible to reach. They say, I need to change my whole life overnight, but that kind of thinking, it's exactly what keeps you paralyzed. You're staring at this huge mountain in front of you, and instead of taking the first step, you freeze, you talk yourself out of it before you even begin. That's why you have to break it down. Stop focusing on the big, overwhelming goal. Focus on what you can do right now. What's one small step you can take today? Not next week, not next month, today. Maybe it's reading for 5 minutes instead of scrolling on your phone. Maybe it's writing one sentence instead of trying to finish a whole project. Maybe it's just putting on your shoes and stepping outside instead of trying to commit to an entire workout. Because here's what happens. When you take that first small step, no matter how tiny, you send a message to your brain, I'm moving, I'm taking control. And that feeling, that's what starts to build. That's what starts to create real, lasting motivation. Most people never experience this because they think small actions don't matter, but that's the biggest lie of all. Every massive success you've ever seen started with something small. Every person you admire started with that first step, even when they didn't feel like it. And the difference between the people who stay stuck and the ones who break through, the ones who break through don't wait to feel motivated. They take action no matter what. And here's the best part. Once you start seeing progress, even the tiniest bit, you'll want to keep going because progress is addictive. It rewires your brain. Suddenly, what felt impossible starts to feel doable. Suddenly, you go from being someone who wants to change to someone who is changing. And that shift, that's everything. So here's what you need to do. Forget about motivation. Forget about waiting for the perfect moment. Just take action. Any action. Right now. Start small, build momentum, and watch what happens. Because once you do, you won't just be thinking about changing, you'll already be in motion. And motion, that's what turns into transformation. Do you ever notice how some days you feel like you're on top of the world, and other days it's like you're dragging yourself through quicksand? You wake up, you know what you should do, but you just can't bring yourself to do it. So you start negotiating with yourself. Maybe I'll start tomorrow, maybe I just need a break, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. And before you know it, the day slips away. Then the next, then a week, then a month, and suddenly you're wondering, how did I get here? Why do I feel so stuck? You want to know the truth? It's because your routine is setting you up to fail before you even begin. People think motivation is about willpower, about waking up every morning and forcing yourself to be productive. But willpower is a terrible strategy. It's unreliable. It runs out fast. And if you're depending on it to get things done, you're already losing the battle. What you need is a system, a daily routine that fuels your energy, primes your mind, and puts you in a position to win before the day even starts. Because here's the secret, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. Most people don't realize that their routine is draining them instead of fueling them. They roll out of bed, grab their phone, start scrolling through social media, bombarding their brain with other people's opinions, negativity, and nonsense before they've even taken a deep breath. Then they drag themselves into the day, rushing through tasks, feeling scattered, constantly reacting to everything instead of being intentional. And they wonder why they feel exhausted, unmotivated, and stuck. It's not because they're lazy, it's because they've wired themselves into a state of mental and emotional chaos before they've even had a chance to get focused. You've got to flip the script. You've got to take control of your day before the world does, and it starts with how you wake up. You ever notice how the first thing you do in the morning sets the tone for the entire day? You roll out of bed groggy, you spend the first hour rushing, scrolling, or stressing, and guess what? That's the energy you carry with you. But what if instead you started your day with intention? What if instead of looking at your phone, you took 5 minutes to breathe, to visualize, to get clear on what you want to create that day? What if instead of dragging yourself through the morning, you moved your body, got your blood flowing, did something, anything, to prime yourself for action? People think these little things don't matter, but they matter more than anything. Because the way you start your day determines how you show up. And if you're constantly starting from a place of stress, distraction, and reactivity, how can you expect to be motivated? And listen, this isn't about creating some complicated 2-hour morning routine. You don't need to meditate on a mountain, take an ice bath, and read 5 books before breakfast. This is about setting yourself up for success in the simplest way possible. Move your body, even if it's just stretching for a few minutes. Feed your mind with something positive instead of garbage. Get clear on your priorities before you get sucked into distractions. These small shifts, they create massive change over time. But it's not just about the morning, it's about how you manage your energy throughout the day. Most people think motivation is about time management, but it's really about energy management, because if your energy is constantly drained, it doesn't matter how much time you have, you won't feel like doing anything. And that's why you have to be intentional about how you spend your time, what you consume, who you surround yourself with. You've got to protect your focus like your life depends on it, because in a way it does. And let's talk about momentum, because if you don't have a routine that keeps you moving forward, you'll constantly feel like you're starting from scratch. That's why consistency is more important than intensity. It's not about working yourself into the ground for a few days and then burning out. It's about showing up even in the smallest way every single day. Because when you do that, something shifts. You start to feel different. You start to think differently. And suddenly, motivation isn't something you're chasing, it's something you are. So stop leaving your motivation up to chance. Stop waiting to feel like it. Build a routine that fuels you, that pulls you forward, that makes taking action the default instead of the exception. Because once you do that, you won't have to fight to find motivation anymore. It'll be there, locked in, ready to go every single day. You ever feel like no matter what you do, you're just spinning your wheels? Like you're putting in effort, but you're not actually getting anywhere? And after a while, it starts eating at you. You start questioning yourself. Why am I even doing this? Is this really worth it? And when you don't see progress, when it feels like nothing is changing, that's when motivation starts slipping away. That's when doubt creeps in, when the excuses start sounding more reasonable, when quitting feels like the only logical choice. But here's what most people don't realize. The reason you feel stuck isn't because you're not capable. It's because you're measuring progress the wrong way. Most people only look at the big wins, the promotion, the six-pack abs, the finished book. And if they don't see those massive results right away, they assume they're failing. But success doesn't work like that. Growth doesn't happen in an instant. It happens in the tiny invisible wins that most people overlook. Think about a seed. You plant it, water it, give it sunlight, and for weeks, maybe even months, it looks like nothing is happening. But under the surface, that thing is growing like crazy. The roots are spreading. The foundation is being built. And then one day, boom, it breaks through the soil. But here's the thing. If you judged that seed by what you could see in the beginning, you'd think it was a failure. You'd assume it wasn't growing at all. And that's exactly what so many people do in their own lives. They look at where they are, they don't see the huge breakthrough yet, and they think they're failing. But in reality, they're just in the phase where the real growth is happening beneath the surface. So let me ask you something. How are you measuring your progress? Are you only looking at the big results? Or are you paying attention to the small, daily victories? Because if you're only celebrating the big moments, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. The truth is, real motivation doesn't come from the final destination. It comes from seeing that you're moving forward, even in the smallest way. You have to start recognizing and celebrating the small wins, because those small wins, they're the stepping stones to everything you want. And if you ignore them, you're robbing yourself of the very thing that keeps you going. So maybe you didn't lose 20 pounds yet, but did you drink more water today than you did yesterday? That's a win. Maybe you haven't built your dream business yet, but did you show up and put in the work today? That's a win. Maybe you're still struggling, but did you push yourself just a little further than you did last time? That's a win. And when you start stacking those wins, when you start seeing that progress is happening, even if it's not obvious yet, that's when everything shifts. Because progress isn't about perfection, it's about momentum. It's about making today just a little better than yesterday. It's about trusting that if you keep going, keep showing up, keep pushing forward, the breakthrough will come. It has to. That's how growth works. But most people never get there because they quit before they ever see the results. They tell themselves, if I don't see success right away, it must not be working. But that's a lie. It is working. You just can't see it yet. You ever notice how the hardest part of anything is always right before the breakthrough? Right before the moment where things start clicking, it always feels the hardest. That's not a coincidence. That's life testing you. That's the universe asking, how bad do you really want this? And most people, instead of pushing through, throw their hands up and walk away without ever realizing how close they were to breaking through. So stop waiting for massive results to feel like you're making progress. Start celebrating every step, every effort, every tiny move forward, because that's where the real magic happens. That's where motivation lives. And if you can learn to see the progress, even when it's small, you'll never feel stuck again. You'll never have to wonder if you're on the right path, because you'll know without a doubt that you are. You ever wonder why some people seem to keep going no matter what, no matter how many times they fall, no matter how many obstacles get thrown in their way, they just keep moving forward. And then there are others who hit one setback, one moment of doubt, and they crumble, they stop, they give up. What's the difference? What separates the people who break through from the ones who stay stuck? It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not even intelligence, it's who they surround themselves with. You can have all the ambition in the world, all the desire, all the fire inside of you, but if you're surrounded by people who don't believe in you, who drain your energy, who make you question yourself, you'll never reach your full potential, because whether you realize it or not, the people in your life are shaping you every single day. Their mindset, their energy, their habits, they're rubbing off on you. And if you're not careful, they'll pull you down without you even realizing it. Think about it. You ever have a moment where you're feeling fired up, ready to take action, and then you talk to the wrong person? Someone who doubts you, someone who tells you to be realistic, someone who makes you feel like your dreams are too big, too impossible, and suddenly that fire inside you dims just a little. You start second guessing yourself. You start shrinking your vision to fit their limited perspective. And before you know it, you're stuck again. Because here's the truth. Your environment will always win. You can try to stay motivated on your own. You can try to push through the negativity. But if you're constantly surrounded by people who drain you, it's only a matter of time before they bring you down to their level. That's why you need to be intentional about who you spend your time with. You need to surround yourself with people who challenge you, who inspire you, who see the potential in you even when you don't see it in yourself. People who make you step up, who push you to grow, who refuse to let you settle for less than you're capable of. Because when you're around people like that, everything changes. Suddenly your big goals don't seem so crazy. Your dreams don't feel impossible, because you're surrounded by people who think bigger, who act bigger, who expect more, not just from themselves, but from you too. And look, I get it. Sometimes the people holding you back are the ones closest to you, family, old friends, the people you've known forever. And it's tough because you care about them. You don't want to cut them out of your life. But here's what you have to understand. You do have to get rid of them, but you do have to limit their influence. If someone is constantly negative, constantly doubting you, constantly feeding you excuses, you can still love them, but you can't let them dictate your future. You have to decide that your vision, your growth, your potential matters more than their approval. And the good news, you don't have to do this alone. The world is full of people who are hungry, who are driven, who are chasing greatness just like you. And maybe they're not in your immediate circle right now, but that doesn't mean you can't find them. Start looking for them. Join groups, go to events, read books written by the people who've already done what you want to do. Immerse yourself in their mindset, their way of thinking. Because even if you can't physically be around them, you can still learn from them. You can still let their energy shape you. Because at the end of the day, you become what you surround yourself with. And if you want to rise, if you want to push past the doubt, the fear, the limitations, then you need to put yourself in an environment that makes that not just possible, but inevitable. So take a look around. Who are you spending your time with? Are they lifting you up or pulling you down? Are they pushing you forward or keeping you stuck? Because that choice, the people you surround yourself with, will determine how far you go. And once you get that right, once you build that circle of people who believe in you, challenge you, and hold you to a higher standard, there's nothing that can stop you. Nothing.